now understand why guys like Cleveland Terry and Nick Spinelli and stuff have like a build up. Because you hit the buttons and then you're just not sure. You're just not sure. Happy Monday. It is Dan from Max SPL Videos. And as is the tradition on the internet, I want to complain about people complaining on the internet. So I, like probably a lot of my viewers, have recently joined the DJ Help Desk on Facebook. I highly recommend it. It's the best DJ group I've seen. I'm part of a few audio groups and things like that. I joined some DJ groups and they're all toxic as hell and dumb and yeah. So I've left a bunch of them. Some of them are fun, some of them are horrible. But they have just put in a rule there where if somebody asks about streaming and specifically asks about like, hey, I'm thinking about signing up with this company, or hey, have you guys noticed anything like this? Hey, what's your experience with X, Y, and Z? A whole bunch of people stream into it, pun intended, to blast the original poster for not buying all of their music. Now, if somebody asks, hey, what are the pros and cons of streaming versus owning my own music? I think it's just completely fine to go in and say, yeah, I think you should own your own music, blah, blah, blah. I do think people should, right? I am a firm believer that you should have a pretty decent music library. And thanks to some of the DJ pools and stuff out there, I think you're going to find it's pretty easy to load up on tracks these days. Now, the problem is this debate happens every time anybody asks anything about streaming. I like streaming. I think streaming is great. I use Tidal. Now, I did a video or a live stream, I can't remember, probably both, on Tidal and how this kind of sucks that they're charging extra. But as a mobile wedding DJ, blah, 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 I kind of need it. I don't need it all year round. I'll probably, well, it might just be easier to leave it all year round. Because I've got a few months where, I might just be doing one gig and stuff, and it's just not worth it as much. But, yeah, like this is worth it to me. You should not rely completely on streaming. You should go and like BPM Supreme is the one that I tended to use. I haven't used it in a while. Hey, they got 25% off. Look at that. I don't have any affiliate links or anything like that for them. But where the heck are their prices? This is the only problem with some of these sites is it's like, how much do you cost? Here we go. So $22.99 American a month. Have to keep that in mind. Although I think Tidal's prices are the same as Tidal's prices are the same as in the US as they are in Canada, which is a little bit weird because our dollar is worth less here, but it just wouldn't feel right to have this cost $15 here, probably. Like I think it's $9.99 in the US. Yeah, but this is almost $20 a month, and this is just over $20 a month. You have to ask yourself this: which is more worth it at the moment? For me, if I was a fresh DJ, didn't have any back catalog of stuff, go get yourself a subscription. BPM Supreme, I think Club Killers. There's another Promo Only, I think is another one. There's like 12, 15 of these. Some of them are a little more legit than others. Some are actually of questionable legality. But you can find some of the bigger ones, right? They'll often be a little more expensive, but be a bit more on the level. You can go and you can download a few thousand songs and really get yourself started, right? The last time I subscribed to BPM Supreme, I did, I think it was 3 months for $60 or something, or no, it was 3 months for $40 Canadian. Like I got like a really good deal on it, so I just did a 3 month subscription on, I think it was like a Black Friday sale, and just used it for a few months. Downloaded a crap ton of music. I think I grabbed about 500 or 5,000 tracks or something like that. Just really did a bunch. Particularly like my country collection was really falling behind, and I've been relying on streaming a lot more than I should. So I downloaded about 3,000 country tracks, like almost their entire catalog of country tracks that I could find. They also have DJ edits and things like that. So short, short edits, extended intro, outros, that kind of stuff. So it has its advantages. But then I'll walk into a wedding and somebody will make some requests of a song that I can't pronounce. That happened recently. Music I don't have. It's just necessary. Now, thankfully, Tidal is pretty universal. That's why I use it. There are a few other options out there. But the big ones right now are Tidal, and then if you're using DJ Pro, get Apple Music. It's cheap. It's like $10 a month. You probably have it anyway if you're an Apple user, right? It's just part of the ecosystem, as it were. And if I was using DJ Pro, I actually would just be, instead of on Tidal, I would be on Apple Music. It is very, very, very cost effective. But yeah, I just think as a society, shut up about it. If somebody's like, hey, I'm looking at Apple Music versus Tidal, which one do you guys subscribe to? And your answer is none, because you should own every piece of music that you play. Okay, I guess, right? And now there is some merit to that as well. I will say this is getting less and less useful. Because I'm switching to a laptop-based system, it is going to get a lot more tempting to just have iTunes running in the background, and you pay $1 a song when you get a weird request, and then you just have it in perpetuity. That's getting more and more tempting to have. That being said, most DJs, most people should have some type of streaming service to listen to music on. The reason I'm considering ditching Tidal in exchange for just buying stuff on iTunes is I have YouTube Music, because I subscribe to YouTube Premium, and it's like, look, do I really want to pay $20 a month for this stuff that I don't really need, want, etc.? I don't know. It is getting right. We're running into the Netflix issue, where Netflix used to be the answer. Everybody just had Netflix and everybody was happy with Netflix because Netflix had everything. And then other streaming services started popping up and segregating everything into different factions, right? Like some Disney stuff is available on Netflix, but not all of it. Like the whole Fox back catalog is on Disney. And then if you wanted the HBO stuff, you need a different service for that. And then if you want, now there's AMC Premium or whatever, and whatever Station Plus, right? We're running into that a little bit of, as prices go up for streaming services and as streaming service options become more plentiful, it's getting harder and harder to justify certain aspects of them. Thankfully, almost all of them seem to have everything. I have heard from some people that, oh, well, such and such's back catalog isn't available on there and things like that. Yeah, there are certain Uh, there are certain artists and certain record labels that just don't put music up on certain streaming sites. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, you should look at and I think it was DJ Rachel had a rant about this, so I'm going to steal a bit from her inadvertently. I'm sure you gotta treat this thing like a tool. It's a fairly expensive tool these days. That is its biggest problem. But you should own the majority of your music so that you have it. It can't be taken away from you, right? If Tidal goes away next week, right? It did at one point. Tidal almost went the way of Spotify, where it was like, yeah, no, you can't use it anymore. That would have sucked if it just went away. But instead, now it's more expensive, makes it feel less worth it. Like I was saying, if you don't have a streaming platform for listening to music, finding new music, etc., though I think YouTube honestly is going to be a good realm for that. This extra $9 a month is, you have to look at that as extra. Not that you're paying $20 a month to use this stuff to DJ, is that you're paying $10.99 a month to have a streaming service for your music, and then you can use it to DJ with for that $9 a month. That said, I mean, I'm writing it off as $20 a month, as solely a DJ expense, which it is, right? It's a business expense. I wouldn't have it, I wouldn't be bothering with it if I wasn't using it for work. So you can write the whole thing off. But yeah, like I said, the DJ streaming is getting less and less worth it, in my opinion. But yeah, if somebody's asking about, hey, Apple versus Tidal versus Beat Source, I think it's Beat Source Link, I want to say. Okay, shut up about DJ pools and how that's the only answer. You should look at this as a tool that you can use that could be ripped away at any moment. So you need things like a back catalog of music in your possession. But that doesn't mean that this isn't useful and that should never be touched and blah, 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 right? I do a lot of barn weddings. I DJ in places where my cell phone simply doesn't work. I rely less and less on streaming. I relied a bit too much on it when it was so convenient, so easy, blah, blah, blah. Ran into the brick walls that it presents. But if you treat it like it's supposed to be used, it's great. It's just this. All right. Now, other news. Now that I've ranted about that, I am probably getting virtual DJ. I sold some stuff this week that I wasn't using, and I've been looking at this for a while. I'm probably just going for it. I like Engine DJ. In fact, I love Engine DJ. I think it's one of the best options for a mobile DJ out there, but it is starting to fall behind, even though it is updating. The most ahead of the game software right now, in my opinion, is Virtual DJ. Serato, they've added stems. That's good. They're not as good sounding, but they're okay. I know Rekordbox just came out with Rekordbox 7. It's pretty good, but I don't like. Well, let's check this here. Rekordbox. So they've done Rekordbox 7.0.0. And I've heard mostly good things. I've heard mostly good things about Rekordbox in general. But this is the problem I have with it. Yeah. Now, I do believe, I think this looks worse than it looks, or is, rather. I think if you go with a Rekordbox equipped unit. You plug it in, and I believe Rekordbox just works with it. And then this stuff adds extra stuff. Which I think that's how Serato should have worked across the board. Serato Lite existing is one of the worst ideas in the history. I mean, the only thing worse than Serato DJ Lite is Virtual DJ LE. Because they both just purposely cut the legs out of themselves to make it that you want to upgrade. But what I want is, your numeric Mix Track Pro. You plug it in, and it just works with Serato DJ Pro with limited features unless you pay extra. So you don't need two different programs on your computer if you're using, say, like a Flex 10 and a Flex 4. Why do I need two different versions of Serato on my computer? But what Rekordbox does that I think is a good thing is if you have your Rekordbox, like your Flex 4 or your or Flex 10, like anything in between, basically, you plug it into the computer and you have access to Rekordbox. It just hardware unlocks the software. It just doesn't have all the features. That's how Serato should have ran. Now, this makes for a really, really good software in general. And I've heard tell that Rekordbox 7 is actually sweet. They heavily optimized it, which is so nice to see. A whole lot of companies these days are just saying, well, the average computer has 8 gigs of RAM, so we should just assume that we don't have to optimize anything better than that. Or the average computer now has like these newer processors and they're fast enough, like we don't have to optimize for this stuff. So these companies aren't optimizing their software the way they used to. So we as the users are getting a bit like, yeah. Now, they're saying like, it's using less battery because you're using less CPU power in particular. That's golden. That's sweet. That is a really good decision. Now, the problem is, even though this is a great software, if you own Rekordbox equipped stuff, it is not ideal for me. I own a bunch of random weird controllers I've picked up off of used websites and stuff because they're fun, and I like old relics and stuff, and I also like, I've got, my little Hercules DJ thing that works with DJuiced and stuff. So Rekordbox for me is out, but it is a good program. Just going back to it here under title because it has a nice list here. Like I said, Serato, I have a Serato equipped mixer. Not Serato DJ Lite. That needs to just go into the fire and never be seen again. But Serato DJ Pro, great program that is starting to fall behind. The reason it's falling behind is because Rekordbox is buying them. Technically speaking, their parent company. But they're stuck in some litigation right now. I know if I was a software company and I knew that I was about to be bought by a different company, I wouldn't be putting a whole lot of resources into updates either. Because the software and the company that you have right now is what people are buying. So pouring a bunch of money and resources into making improvements that you won't see the dividends on, I kind of get. But Serato, still a solid program. I watched a really funny debate, I guess. It was mostly for comedic value, but between Aaron Strawn, I can't remember offhand. I watched a bit of his stuff. He streams on Wednesdays. He's pretty funny, but I can't remember his last name right now to save my life. And Nick Spinelli, and it's like the answer was basically, but Serato's the cool one. I'm done with that. Like, I have no I have no brand loyalty to softwares or to hardware companies, etc. Like they can earn my trust, they don't earn my loyalty. I, for example, uh, I have I sold one of my Yamaha boards recently. I'm not a Yamaha dealer, but I love Yamaha mixer boards, and they've earned my trust. So when people ask me what I recommend for mixer boards, I oftentimes, even though I don't sell them myself, will say, well, Yamaha makes really good stuff, so look at some of their options. Allen and Heath make some really good stuff. Again, I don't sell them. I'm a Soundcraft dealer, so now that I have a UI16, I recommend that thing wholeheartedly because I use it a bunch and I love it. But if Yamaha falls heavily behind in a few months and like all their competition is making better mixer boards and Yamaha is just going by their name from back in the day, I'm not going to tell people to buy a Yamaha board. I think that's what's sort of happening with Serato. Serato used to be the best software. I would take Rekordbox over it in a heartbeat from everything I'm seeing. The only reason I have Serato is because some of my stuff hardware unlocks it, which I think is a great way to do it. The first time I plugged an SX3 into my computer and Serato just worked, that actually really sold me on their software because I've got a few recording interfaces and they don't hardware unlock the recording software that comes with them. You still have to deal with like, here's your codes, here, register this, blah blah blah. And it's like Serato, it's like, yeah, I mean, you make an account, but like you plug your thing in, it just starts working. And if I bought a new controller next week and I plugged it in, I wouldn't have to do anything. Serato just works, right? I might need drivers for the new unit, but Serato itself, right? Like that is its strength right now. Yeah. DJ Pro was on my short list. They don't work with SoundSwitch. I did contact them about it, and I have told them that I really want them to work with SoundSwitch, and if it does, I will buy their software. And I'm holding to that. Even though I may be buying Virtual DJ this week, I will still buy DJ Pro if it starts working with SoundSwitch. Even if I only use it as a backup on like a touchscreen, like on my phone or things like that. It's a very, very solid program. And they are getting closer and closer to feature parity between the Windows version and the Apple version, which is good. The Android version still is really basic, I think. I don't think they've added a lot of the features, but it's just... I don't know how much better they can do it. Anytime you're making something for Android, you have to assume somebody's going to be running it on a potato. At least with Windows, they can really say, here's your system requirements. Because when was the last time somebody with a Chromebook or a Samsung phone looked at like, what processor do you have? I don't know too many of my friends who would know how to look up what processor is in their phone, let alone like how much RAM it has and stuff like that. So I'm not too heartbroken on that. But yeah, DJ Pro is a great piece of software, and I still may end up buying it at some point because they do they are on a subscription, but they are the least expensive subscription currently. The big thing is DJ Pro works with Apple Music, and DJ Pro for a year with Apple Music for a year works out to less than having Tidal. So you get your software and your streaming for less than just the streaming service. That's awesome. But there's two big things with it, like I said, is one being the feature parity isn't quite there, but it's very, very close. And I'm not running Apple stuff. It just does run better on Apple. And two, the lack of SoundSwitch and the pain in the butt of like I'd have to run SoundSwitch via Ableton Link. I just don't want to go there. Other ones here, I don't know edging. At this point, it's kind of an unfortunate name because of the way the internet has turned this slang into a much more commonly known piece of slang. But it's out. I've never heard of Tribe. Dex actually is a weird one. I don't know anyone who uses Dex, but they have a very, very good karaoke software from what I've heard. Like a lot of people who that is their main thing, they've got the stuff from Dex. So if it's what I'm thinking of, but I could be wrong. Yeah, but it's not on my short list. Denon DJ technically is what I've got right now because I have a Newmark Mixstream Pro. I like it. The software in the Mixstream and its ilk is great. The software on the PC is garbage. I did a video on that recently. It's just not good. Dejuiced, same problem as DJ Pro, just doesn't work with Dejuiced doesn't work with Sound Switch. And on top of that, it mostly doesn't. This is the other thing with DJ Pro. I was trying to remember the other reason that I went against it. DJ Pro and Dejuiced both have really limited hardware. Dejuiced more than any of them, because Dejuiced is only available, to my knowledge, on Hercules products. There might be a way to MIDI map others to it. I don't know. But DJ Pro has a pretty limited back catalog. It's better than I think people give it credit for. But from what I've heard, particularly more modern controllers with moving jog wheels, they're running into a bunch of quirks and problems, and it's delaying the mapping for those. And somebody pointed out, because I was a bit critical of it, I still kind of am, because it's like, guys, you gotta, like, this is, you've done a huge software update. This is your next big thing. The actual MIDI mapping, like, I can MIDI map a controller in, well, depending on the controller, between 10 minutes and an hour, depending on how many settings and stuff the controller itself has, how many knobs, how many buttons, etc. Like, it's not a long process. So in my head, I was like, oh, well, they must be able to program this stuff really quick. Somebody pointed out it's the jog wheels. Getting the jog wheels to do what you intend them to do, have the capacitive touch stuff do what it's supposed to do, have the edge of it, jog forward and back for beat matching, but then having the center do what you want. If there's displays, that's a whole other ball game, right? So I'm not too put off by that, but it's just a bunch of the stuff that I have, because I bought some older stuff for like next to nothing. It's been pretty sweet. But yeah, that's basically the reason I'm not going with any of the other competition is my particular use case. I need something that is heavily backwards compatible, because I like older stuff. I need something that it runs well on PC, where one of the complaints I often hear about virtual DJ is it doesn't run as well on Macs as it does on PC. I don't know how true that is. I'm pretty sure that it runs just fine on Mac, especially these days. But some of the hotkeys and things like that, it's the same problem I run into in Serato, where like the right click doesn't do what I want it to do. Same thing, the Denon software doesn't. It just assumes you don't have a right click, so like there's very little stuff mapped to it, and it drives me nuts. Virtual DJ works really well on a PC, and then works really well with older hardware, and it works with Sound Switch. And unlike Rekordbox, it does everything out of the box. You buy Virtual DJ, and there's no subscription or stuff to add to it. There's one add-on you can do. And then the problem with Serato, here's the biggest problem I have with Serato. buy $249 US gets you just Serato Pro, and it doesn't include any of these. So I can go and I can spend $450 American to get basically what like now Serato Flip is its own thing. I don't think Virtual DJ has that. That is actually one of the big, that's pretty important. Now it used to be you'd buy the club kit separately, but they've kind of gotten rid of that. More pricing options. Yeah, so you can get the club kit that's Pro and DVS, but you can't get that as an upgrade with the mixer that I have, which is really annoying because the mixer I have hardware unlocks this, but I can't just pay the $100. Like yeah. So that kind of turned me off from it a little bit. And then just the amount of stuff that's missing, like the fact that it doesn't have pitch and time, right? The fact that pitch and time isn't included in Serato DJ Pro. What's Serato Play? What is this? For laptop only DJing and really? You don't have EQ and filter unless you buy the expansion? Really? Right? Like stuff like this. I didn't know that. That's actually surprising. Instead of your own with a variety of customizable effects. So like the effects, because I mean it comes with the basic effects, I'm assuming. I've only ever hardware unlocked it, so I actually don't know. I can understand, yeah, DVS is extra. All right, cool, I guess. But yeah, they're nickel and diming like too much. And again, the stuff, like the software itself is falling behind. So if you have a DVS equipped mixer that unlocks pitch and time and Serato Flip, none of this matters to you. Right? The vast majority of Serato users are happy with Serato because you plug your thing in and it works. And I get it, right? That's why when I had my SX3, I loved Serato. Now that I have something that doesn't hardware unlock a bunch of it and only does the basics of it, I don't. So if you buy a Flex 10, you can use Serato and never bat an eye at any of this crap. That's why most Serato users aren't salty about their pricing. Yeah. But yeah, to get everything that I'm hoping to get in Virtual DJ, it would cost me $450 American. That's reasonable if there weren't alternatives. And yeah, the Get Serato expansions, you can't buy them individually anymore, at least that I have found, right? I wanted to just get DVS to use my DVS equipped mixer. It just doesn't hardware unlock it, and I would have to buy all of these in order to get DVS, or at least the club kit. I just couldn't do it. So that's why that was out. But we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so yeah, for me, Virtual DJ is just almost a process of elimination. So I'm not going to be one of those Virtual DJ users that's going to like evangelize the thing and tell everybody like you got to use it, you got to use it, you got to use it. Like I say, if you have, I would recommend it over buying Serato. But if your hardware unlocks Serato, or if your hardware unlocks Rekordbox, use it. Like that's one of the reasons why the Numark stuff is cheaper than the like the Rev 1. Well, not really the Rev 1, but the FLX stuff. The FLX stuff should be a bit more expensive because it comes with Rekordbox. I mean, technically some of it comes with Serato LE, but that's the worst program I've ever used, so don't use it. I will take Dejuiced over LE or Lite or whatever. No, it's Virtual DJ LE. Also terrible for its own, in its own right. Basically, if I remember correctly, because I just saw it and then it turned it off. I never want to see it again. If I remember correctly, Virtual DJ LE just removes your search function. It's the dumbest break they could have put on the thing. It's like here's your new car. By the way, there's a boot on one of the tires. Have fun. It basically makes it unusable, even though it's technically included in certain things. And like they may as well just say the demo edition, right? Like nobody would ever use it live. They're not intending for you to, which is really annoying. But uh, anyway, yeah, if you have a long story long, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, he's saying virtual DJ is the answer, it is for me. If you have a Serato or Record Box equipped piece of hardware, just use that. If you're happy with it, then stick to it. If you're not, then maybe virtual DJ is the answer. If you have something that is compatible with DJ Pro, it's a good call. I quite like it. Same thing with Dejuiced. And if you're running Denon or Newmark stuff that runs on Engine, you're set as well. The only reason I'm going virtual DJ is I want to do a laptop-based thing, and I want to have now my Mixstream Pro go with my other DJs and be like, here, has all the music on it. Everything's good to go. It's logged on Tidal. Have fun. So anyway, yeah, that's why I'm going virtual DJ. Like I said, it's just process of elimination of like a bunch of the other stuff just doesn't have what I need. Then it does have a few fun things on top. As you've probably heard, like one of the big things, compatibility. It's just, if you find a 15, 20-year-old still running like my BSM 4, I think it is, I got the thing for $40, and then I can buy virtual DJ, and for less than the price of most new, and we're talking Canadian there, for less than the price of like an FLX 4, I can have virtual DJ plus a pretty decent, heavy, but really well built controller. And then whatever controller I get in the future, it works with. So the compatibility for me was like a really big thing. It does have the best stems. I will say everything I've heard on the DJ Pro side in terms of like hearing audio samples, it's really good. I did a video that's actually doing pretty well on what was it, Mixcraft, and their stems. The stems on Mixcraft are bad, but you can do some really cool stuff with them. So if you haven't caught that video, I recommend it. But yeah, the real-time stems, the problem I am running into, if you watch this virtual DJ, learn how to work with Quadro drivers. The system requirements for using stems says you need a 1050 or higher. The Quadro graphics card that I have, I believe, is 2 times the effective speed or something like that of a GTX 1050. It has 4 gigs of RAM and has a built-in way to actually borrow another 4 gigs from, like, kind of like how your integrated graphics cards use RAM. This one, as far as I can tell, I didn't know that when I bought it, can use some of the system RAM, which is nice because I have 32 gigs of system RAM in this thing. It's a beast of a laptop that I got for real cheap. It's really nice. More than powerful enough processor, but it won't do the real-time stems because it's not recognizing. And I'm assuming, because the thing about it is that you're probably, the reason it works better on a GTX or RTX card over an AMD is that the graphics card has those CUDA cores, and you can take advantage of them, like more and more software. Like if you've ever talked to somebody who does video editing or photo editing or CAD drawing and stuff like that, anything that needs or can work with CUDA, the NVIDIA stuff, it's their pricing is silly right now, but yeah, the NVIDIA cards are better. But yeah, stem separation, unfortunately, right now is not the best on mine. I'm gonna see about a external graphics card because I have a spare. It's nice to have, but a spare 1070 with the 8 gigs of RAM. If I put that in an eGPU enclosure, especially for bigger events where I'm doing video and stuff, then I can offload some stuff to that. That's a possibility. Thunderbolt and all that. But anyway, yeah, learn to use, if you ever watch this virtual DJ, learn to work with Quadro cards. They should be more than enough. They have the power. It's just the drivers, because they work differently, I'm assuming. I could be wrong. Maybe somebody from Virtual DJ will tell me, well, actually, they run completely differently in the accelerators, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Who knows? But carrying on. Like I said, the compatibility stuff, that adds up for me. Because, yeah, this is an old Pioneer here, if it's the one I'm thinking that is. Unlike the Serato ones, this is another big reason. This is one of the reasons to own your software if you can. Without purchasing anything, running it as a standalone is very, very useful. On top of the fact that as a standalone unit, somebody spills beer on your mixer or whatever, and it's just like, oh, yeah, but you got to finish the gig, right? Yeah, it sucks. This is hopefully, somebody's paying you for whatever gear they broke, but maybe you spilt it on there. Maybe, I have general rules about keeping liquids away from my equipment, and like everybody else, I've broken them at some point. I've yet to spill anything on my my equipment, but if I'm the reason I spill my bottle of water or something like that, oh crap, you run from your headphones out to your speakers, right? I've got a cable that will let me do that. It'll work. Or something that I'm considering, especially for small events, if I don't want a controller, like I just don't think it's necessary. You can run an audio interface or a USB mixer and route your audio to the USB bus in the audio the DAC in the mixer board, and then set your headphone out for being your headphones, so you can actually still cue and mix properly, even though you don't have a 4-channel controller, 4-channel DAC. For those who aren't sure what I'm talking about, so your regular, if you look at, say, the Hercules the Starlight control, I've got one of those. I did a video on it. I love the little thing. It has a headphone jack on one side and then has a main out on the other. You can run both of those at the same time, which means it's actually a 4-channel audio interface, because you've got stereo for your headphones and you have stereo for your main outputs. I run in mono, but it still can run that much. If you look at something like the Pioneer VDJ 200, it's a cool little interface that doesn't have a sound card built in. It is just a MIDI controller with some Bluetooth shenanigans that it works really, really well. I think it's a really, really good idea. But you have to run a splitter out of the headphone jack, with one of them going to your mixer to go out to your speakers, and the other going to your headphones, and both end up being in mono because it's using the left and the right as a split. That works, can be effective, but if you have a USB mixer, I'm looking at one. I'm looking at one of these because I'm a CAD dealer, so I can get them on a good price. I think they're actually really good for the price anyway. Only thing I don't like about these little mixers is, can I just expand it so it doesn't do this? Oh, it's having a hard time. The only thing I don't like about these little mixers is they have TRS outs instead of XLR. Soundcraft, shout out to them. Again, I am a Soundcraft dealer, but I know they have a few that have a small form factor but still have the XLR outs. I believe Yamaha does. But you have to move up to a certain size for Mackie and Behringer to have it. Yeah. But yeah, these CAD ones, they've got 4 inputs because they have a stereo input and they have the the 2 microphone inputs. There we go. The second one can double as a an instrument in. So for open mic nights and stuff like that, this would be actually really handy as well. Has digital effects, so reverb. I wouldn't use any of the other ones on it, but it has it. It can do USB playback, so you can do a USB stick into it. So that's cool, I guess. But I would rather hook it up to a laptop. And then in here, or hopefully you can see my little thing. I kind of glitched the site up. On the back of this is USB-C. So if you plug it into your laptop, you can kind of see that there. I wish I could zoom this in more. Is there... I wonder if I open link, new tab. That's a little bit bigger. On the back is a USB-C. So if you select USB, then this channel can turn from being a stereo input to being the USB out of your computer. That's super handy. That's a whole lot less cabling. And then you can have your line input plugged in at the same time and switch between the two here. So if your computer starts going on the fritz, as long as your USB output is giving enough power to power the mixer, you can switch from your computer to your, say, tablet that's plugged in like 1/8 inch to dual 1/4 inch. Yeah, so I'm thinking about getting one of these. Even if I am using something like that Hercules, I have a strong suspicion this mixer board is going to have a better DAC than the Hercules does. The Hercules one is fine, but having something like this would actually be super useful. Now, you can't use this headphone jack. You can't assign this to the headphone out on your DJ software. This is a monitoring system for just listening to what's going on in the mixer. It's not, you can't just turn this thing basically into a complete DJ audio interface. But again, you plug this in USB, you send your main outs out to your speakers, you plug your headphones into the computer itself. I've got a computer tablet, like it's a Windows tablet that has a really nice touchscreen on it. Depending on how well Virtual DJ runs on it, I may turn that into a full backup system where here's a tablet, here's a little mixer that can be powered off of said tablet, and then I can use the touchscreen on it to do mixing on. There are some good skins from what I've seen in Virtual DJ to run touchscreen. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I've got one of the other reasons that I'm quite happy about my plans to pick this software up. The Virtual DJ oh, you're over here. My brain just collapsed on itself. My Mixstream Pro works apparently really well with Virtual DJ. I have heard tell you can't switch seamlessly back and forth, so you can't just like unplug the thing out of the back and then it turns back to Engine DJ. You have to reset it and set it back up, which does make sense. You wouldn't want, you'd be wasting a lot of processing power running both at the same time. But the touchscreen and stuff, I don't know if the touchscreen interacts. I need to look a bit more at how it works with Virtual DJ, but it actually will use Like you can have, say, your waveforms down on your um, on the controller, and then free up that space on your software itself, which is sweet, right? Like it's a really modular software. Carrying on though, and stuff that I care about. The built-in effects I hear are good. I've heard tell that they. I think Serato effects sound fine, but I know a lot of people hate Serato effects. I think they're good, but the effects in VDJ, I'm going to be testing some of the VSTs that I own because I'm told that you can actually use VSTs in Virtual DJ. I haven't messed around with that yet, but I have a few delays and I've got a reverb that are ducking delays. I'm going to see if they work, because if those function the way I hope they do, ooh. So there'll be a video on that if it works, and if it doesn't, well then I won't bother because I don't want to get anybody's hopes up and then show you how it doesn't work. Now I have some Serato vinyl, like control vinyl, that this is the reason I went down this rabbit hole. I had intended to just pay for the TVS upgrade, but because Serato has gotten rid of that as an option, you have to buy either the club kit or like the full expansion pack instead of just like I bought an Akai AMX, cool little mixer. I got it used, and when you plug it in, it tells you, hey, do you want to upgrade to the DVS so you can use the DVS with this? And you click the link, and it doesn't send you to the DVS page anymore. It sends you to the club kit page or to the full expansion page. There's no way to pay. I was like, oh, I'll throw Serato $100 to unlock this. This is sweet. Because I got the mixer for so cheap that it's like, man, for like less than $200, I can have like a really sweet little So, I'm gonna recycle that into this. It did work in mix. If you aren't familiar, I should mention this is the best free DJ software on the market if you want MIDI integration. Virtual DJ is the best free mixing software out there if you are using it at home, because they, technically speaking, legally, you're not supposed to use it to make money if you're not paying them. And if you're not using a controller. As soon as you use any type of MIDI controller, even if it's like a MIDI keyboard that you're programming in, you need to buy the full version. But Mix is great. It's free. You can use Control Vinyl with it. I got it working, and it was actually working great. That's how I started to learn recently. I didn't feel it was as useful as everybody kept telling me. But, the word on the street constantly, I'm just told over and over and over and over again that I need to learn how to mix on vinyl. And by I mean the royal I. Just like I'm sure every beginner DJ out there, people tell you not to use sync because what happens if you get in front of a controller that doesn't have sync? Yeah, you should know how to mix by ear. So I've learned how to mix by ear. Cool. And I usually do it out of habit now. When sync would actually be easier. I just need to I need to actually train myself to use sync now because I avoid using the sync button even when it's just like, yeah, it would be so much easier and faster just to click. Because I know how to do it manually. I can even do it by ear because that's, what happens when you have quite a few years of music education under your belt is you get a good ear for this kind of stuff, right? I'm going to toot my own horn there, right? I play guitar, bass, drums. I've got a piece of paper on the wall at work that says I know what I'm talking about. Beat matching, at least at a basic level, super easy. Paying attention to 4 or 8 bar or even 16 bar phrases, super easy. Cool, right? Like I've performed songs in 5/4 and 7/4. 4/4 time at 120 BPM. I'm going to be okay figuring out when the snare hits are. But I'm just not used to hitting the sync button now, which can be a good thing, but I actually have to get used to it because the problem is if the other week I forgot I did a transition using my filter knob and I forgot it on. That's the reason I'm afraid of sync, though I have accidentally forgotten that I sped something up. And then when I just went to play a new track, because I wasn't doing a beat match transition, it was just going from song to song because it was a big enough transition, like, ending a slow song into like going from 70 BPM to 120. I'm not doing a blend of any kind. I'm letting everybody finish, hug your loved one because you just did a slow dance with them. New song. And I forgot that I had sped it up slightly. And so like I ran like into the next tune. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and mix it. Oh, why is that one running at 124 instead of 120? Oh, because I had to sped up. Anyway, but yeah, if you haven't tried Mix, try it. It is fully MIDI mappable as well. You can if you're just doing minor playback stuff in between, like in between bands or something like that. Like if you just need a good, although for that, honestly, get DJ Pro for free on your phone and just don't pay for the full version because it's more than enough to just I'm moving from one song to another with a crossfader. Yeah, you don't need a lot of this stuff, but Mix is awesome, highly recommended. They're actually running into a funny problem. So many because it's an open source thing. So many of their coders use Linux that they don't have enough people to get Windows updates out as fast as they would like. To me, that's comical because it's just that's just telling me how many people in the open source space are using Linux for everything now. And the fact that this works really well on Linux actually intrigues me. I could see. I mean, we're kind of. I mean, Mac OS is kind of Linux. So is so is Android. If you go deep enough. But I would love eventually to see an OS through Linux dedicated to all this does is run DJ software. So it just doesn't have all of the other stuff in Windows or Mac OS and all that crap. It's just not running. Everything else is removed. The only thing this does now is runs audio real well. I think that could be really nice. But yeah, back to this. Now the library management is actually one of the big reasons why I'm fed up a bit with Engine. I still have it and still use it, but it's gotten to a point now. I make all of my playlists in iTunes because I just can't stand Engine DJ anymore. I have to make my playlists in iTunes and then move them over manually. It's just such a pain in the ass. It's just not a good program. So everything I've heard, the library management in Virtual DJ is just second to none at this point. See features. Open a new tab. Let's see if I. It is incredibly stable from what I've heard. We're going to talk about the rock solid performance here. There's been a few talking about like the coder guys on Mix and stuff. I watched a guy who he has forced crashes and whatnot in a bunch of programs, or like put them into situations that can cause an audio driver to crash and stuff like that, just to see what happens. And it used to be Virtual DJ would crash more than something like Serato. That there was a time, but because again Serato is in this holding pattern and not updating as fast as some of its competition. I've heard from a lot of people smarter than me that it is starting to have more errors than it used to, which, let's face it, Serato has always been very solid. And especially on Mac, right? I've had trouble with Serato on PCs before, but if you're running Mac OS, yeah, Serato is going to be bulletproof for you in a lot of ways. But I'm on PC, and everything I've heard is that Virtual DJ really runs well on PC. So, and I have it on my computer, right? I've got the free version that I've messed around with enough to know that I like the software and the editability and all that. I just don't have it purchased yet. Yeah, extensive. For a second, I thought I see Denon written on there, but I saw the color scheme here. I thought this was the Novation Twitch, or Itch. I think it was Novation Itch. Beat grid stuff, 4 decks or more. This is another thing I really like about this compared to some of the other programs. The virtual decks in an age of stems can actually be a lot more useful than I think it used to be. Yeah. Because if you run, say, 2 virtual decks, one of the coolest things I think I've ever seen was on the it wasn't the Mix on 8, the Rain 4, not the Performer that apparently is getting review copies are out now. I saw one review is out, but everybody else's isn't, so I think somebody broke embargo. But the Rain 4 integrated stems and was a 4-channel interface, and there was a way to assign your stems when you do your stem split to have your vocals and your instrumental move to channel like 1 and 2. So then you have independent control. I mean, that's all well and good. But then if you have it set to slip mode, I think it is, where when you do like a scratch, you can, when you let it go, it'll start playing as if you never were manipulating it. But as while you're holding onto the jog wheel, you've got full control of it. And as soon as you let go, it moves as if you never touched it. So somebody had that. And then they scratched the vocal and they let it go and it got back into the track. So they did a scratch on the vocal while the instrumental kept going. And then when they let go, they synced right back up. That's cool. I dig that. So I believe you can actually do that while adjusting. So that's why I'm probably going this route. Yeah, and the stem separation natively just, you can put it on the pads or you can have it just natively on your EQs. It depends on the controller. I have one that can, they call it like MIDI log. It was a really over-engineered thing. But essentially, it can work as MIDI or as analog EQ, depending on how you route the sound. So if I have my treble turned down, it tells the software that I have my treble turned down. And then it bypasses the analog treble knob. That's kind of cool, but you can also route it so that it is actually just analog EQs. So it depends on which EQ you like the sound of more. But in this case, if you keep it on MIDI, you can have either your stems on your pads or you can have your stems on your EQ. If you're like me and you don't reach to the EQ a whole lot, having this on the EQ is really nice. And that's on any controller too. So a lot of people are wanting more and more controllers to come out with the native stem support, which is fine. Like seeing on the Hercules ones even, any of their Mark II units that they've got right now, like I think it's the Impulse 2 and 300 both have it. They don't have a 500 Mark II yet. I think I'm looking forward to one. I might get one if they put one out. Because pending, if they add the paddle effects to it, that I think is going to be the big game changer for it. But having pad control of your stems without having to change it over in software, like having it labeled in the hardware, is nice. I've even seen people go as far as they get a one of those like 12-inch skins made for their controller, and they get one that has stems written on it so that they know which pad mode is their stems. I don't know. I grew up playing computer games. I like having hotkeys and macro keys and stuff, but I'm perfectly fine with like clicking a thing with my mouse. Like that's not a big deal to me. But for some, the less interaction they have with the computer, the better. For those people, I think having the stems labeled and laid out on the controller is a bit mandatory. But for me, I don't mind interacting with the computer as much. But that's a personal preference thing. Yeah, they talk about the standalone here. This is their actual features page instead of the other one. Video mixing is another thing. I am going to be getting more and more into that. I'm not doing the whole LED wall. My market, that's just too much. I do, however, have a bunch of projectors. So in particular, I got a short throw projector, 720p, but it only needs to be like I think 3 feet from a wall to be an 80-inch screen, and it's pretty darn bright. It is made, or like I got it. It's retired from a local classroom for their smartboard stuff, so it actually works real well for this kind of stuff. And then has visualizers and stuff that can go. I'm intending to do video dance stuff. They are tricky. Music videos are. It's funny. I asked Cleveland Terry about this because he's got his video wall. I asked him like, "Oh, are you doing like visualizer stuff, or are you doing music videos?" He does a lot of bar mitzvahs, and oh boy, can you not show a lot of music videos at a bar mitzvah these days, because they're getting less and less tame as more and more of them are just being released on the internet as opposed to being played on like MTV and stuff. So having visualizers, I am curious. I'm going to look into lyric videos because I know those were super popular for a little while. I do need to see. I know I've bought enough of their stuff. I don't think they would mind, but I do need to check on YouTube video download options and stuff. Because I would love to have, unless there's a way to buy them. If there's a way to buy them, I'll just buy them. I would love to have the Postmodern Jukebox videos available for like cocktail hour if I'm running TVs and stuff, because having the live musicians playing on TVs or on the projector, I think I'd really like that. But I just don't know. They've only put them out on YouTube. I just don't know if they have the videos elsewhere for sale. I know you can buy the songs, but yeah, this is another thing. Another knock against Serato, unfortunately, is they're not really video focused anymore. I don't even know if I have Serato open on here anymore. No, I've got a bunch of other junk I'll get rid of. There is a DJ pool that has videos on it, so I'm also going to check with that company and see what their catalog's like. But I am looking to move a bit more into video mixing stuff, not heavy, because I think it's a bit of a dead format compared to what it used to be. I like, if you're anything like me, if you were in high school in the early 2000s, we're having a video dance. Oh, and they set up these big projector screens, and that was like a big deal for school gym events and stuff. But again, they couldn't play a lot of music videos for a lot of the songs that they were playing. But I've already got projectors and I've got TVs and junk like that. So having the ability to do this natively without needing second or third party software, second wouldn't count here, without needing third party software is pretty sweet, right? Just integrate it in. On top of that, I don't know if it's official or not. Now I checked. The offline locker doesn't work for this. Tidal has an offline locker with Virtual DJ for music, which instantly makes this a lot more worth it. It's one of those things. If I have if I'm already paying for this and stuff, bride and groom say, "Hey, we need these 5 songs for our wedding." I don't want to rely on, or they say here's our 20 must plays or something like that. I don't want to rely on Tidal for those, because then if internet goes out, well, there you don't get your first dance, right? Never do that. Right? That is a big argument for owning your own music. And as a wedding DJ, my current step-by-step process is I buy them on iTunes, and then I make a playlist on Tidal, and on that playlist on my tablet, I do the download option. So I have them on my tablet. So if my computer completely glitches up or something like that, I have like a semi-permanent downloaded, okay, I don't have access to the internet, but I can hit play and they will play. There's no chance of buffering and weirdness and stuff because they're downloaded, etc. The offline locker does work, but it doesn't work for video. But Tidal Video does work in Virtual DJ. I don't know how. I don't know how they pulled it off. I don't know why it works. It shouldn't. By most standards, it should be non-functional. Now all we need, because I'm paying for YouTube Premium. I'm perfectly fine with paying for YouTube Premium. Can we get a software out there that will let you do transition blends from a music video on like a virtual? Oh, somebody steal this idea. A virtual monitor that's full screened YouTube, that when you move your crossfader from one virtual monitor to the next, the music video is playing on the other one. Yeah, you would still need an internet connection. Although there is a download option on YouTube Premium that has to be played on like the YouTube player, I think is kind of how it works. But yeah, there might be a way to actually integrate if the YouTube videos are full screen. I have a video switcher. I might look into this. There might be a way that I can actually pull this off of using a second screen and using a blend. I'd have to be really careful with it. But I do have a video switcher. It's just the audio. YouTube audio is terrible. But my brain's a tingling. Anyway, yeah, the offline locker and stuff is great. But then, yeah, they do offer, like I said, their video stuff is way better. Oh, here we go. Yeah, video is way better than pretty much any of their competition. From everything I've heard, they've actually kept up on it. I'm considering their karaoke stuff on and off. So they have catalogs. And yeah, they've got video graphics, which is cool. Oh, right. Yeah, some of these are interesting. They actually do a video graphic thing for where you can actually see what you're DJing and how it's all going, different effects and stuff you have on. I think that's for like DJs DJing for DJs. So not really something I'm interested in, but it does work well. It's kind of cool. But anyway, they have streaming catalogs that include a karaoke catalog. I hear that Carafun is better. Have to see. We'll have to see. But I do know that the karaoke aspect of this, like I've heard, if you own your karaoke tracks, that Virtual DJ is awesome as a karaoke software. Using the streaming stuff, I've heard limitations. Not because of the Virtual DJ itself, but because the catalog that they have running is constantly just missing go-to stuff. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing their karaoke plan stuff, but it is something that's on my radar. And I might test it. I've heard some people, what they do is they do the karaoke plan, and then if there's a song missing, they quickly buy it and bring it on. Which sucks, but it is also one of the less expensive options, and is more professional in some respects than Carafun, because you can run it in the integrated stuff. But at the same time, do my karaoke audiences know what software I'm using and that one is better integrated and blah, blah, blah? Like, do they actually care that one is more pro? I highly doubt it. Sound quality, engine, equalizer effects. The plug and play audio stuff is great, but yeah, the sound engine. I've heard a lot of people say that different softwares sound different. I don't know. I think the hardware matters more, and I think the fact that a lot of people who use, say, Serato, if you're using a Serato Unlock piece of hardware, it probably has a pretty good DAC in it. You'd hope. So I think that's mostly where people are hearing differences in software, is that the equipment has different sounds. But yeah, I could be wrong. Audio and video effects. Yeah, supports industry standard VST and VST-I, which is rad. Because that means potentially in their sampler, at least, like you could probably turn your, if you want a finger drum along to something, run a VST or a VST-I, like an actual virtual instrument in there, I'm assuming. Wait, what? Compatible with and open SDK for creating your own plugins. What? Ooh. Huh. And yeah, I've seen some of the they also have the awesome transition effects. One of my favorite things that Pioneer did on, I think it was I want to say it's the Flex 4, is there's like a transition effect button in the middle that I think it's pretty limited. I think it just has like one type of effect where you bring it over and it'll actually change your EQ as you move. So there's like a really common effect where when you bring in the new track, you'll have its bass turned down and then you'll turn the bass up as you transfer into it or transition into it. And they have like a pre-mapped thing that like does that for you, which then frees up one of your hands to do something, say with your filter, although you can basically do the same thing with the filter. Or if you wanted to do like an echo out, something like that, but you have like a paddle effect on something, like you freeze up a hand to do it. Somebody just programmed that in. So you can basically have a button where you can like hit it and it'll actually, they even have it where it'll like move your crossfader for you in the software. So if you have your crossfader disabled in the on your physical hardware. But yeah, some of this adjustability is pretty sweet. I don't care about sampler. You might. I hear it's good. Cool. The performance pad stuff actually intrigues me. Here's what I need to figure out. Here's what I'm going to be messing around with once I have my hands on this with a controller. My VSM4, I think it's a VSM4, American Audio, ancient thing. American. Whoa. I've got one of these. And as you may have noticed, it is discontinued. Thanks. Oh yeah, they had a skin. This was hideous, but they would actually show you all of your buttons and stuff right on the software. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But well, let me zoom in. It has a mouse pad in the middle. It's silly. It's not good. The track pads are vertical, which is a little bit weird. You can assign them to some different things. But instead of having pads, we've got your hot cues, loops, and then a few other things tucked in here. And to me, that's enough, right? Instead of having pad modes, I just have small buttons. Like right now, the way that a lot of controllers have saved on size. Right? I love the Control Starlight. I honestly, if I can figure out how to make this work with that little mixer board, this thing might turn into my new controller because of just how light it is. And if I can just use this for my headphone mixer, but then route my audio through the mixer board. Sweet, right? It's now I say it's a small setup. That's my laptop. It's a 17-inch behemoth, so. Though officially speaking, you can have virtual DJ on multiple machines. You're just not supposed to run them at the same time. I'm sure nobody ever does. Overview. There we go. To save space, so if you look at this, hot cue, loop, effect, and sampler, all in the pads, right? These are actually, they're clicky pads. They actually feel pretty good for being plastic. I wish they were RGB. Not because RGB is cool or anything like that, but because then when you're on a different, Like the way RGB actually can be useful is if I'm on hotkey versus effects, having these be a different color. That's my one thing, is if they can get rid of the RGB underneath and turn it to RGB in the pads, this will be a perfect controller for what it is. Don't use this if you're planning on doing a lot of scratching and stuff. I talk about that in the video, but like having the bass and the filter on one knob and then a button to switch it between. Because again, I'm not really adjusting my bass EQ and my filter at the same time. Like being able to switch between them is fine. This is saving a bunch of space by just combining a bunch of things into, like, here's one button that does 4 different things, right? So this first pad is either your first cue, your first effect, your first loop, or your first sampler button. That's everything. On these older ones, it lets me move it around, but it doesn't let me zoom in. Oh, guys. But we have your loop. I can't remember what this strip is. Is there a better... If I just do good old Google image. No, it just brings me back to that website. I'm trying to find a good zoom in of here we go. Yeah, so smart, it's got like your vinyl mode or blah blah blah. So you've got your loop, you've got your effect stuff up here, you've got your sync is up in the top right corner instead of down here. That's pitch bend. I've almost broken one of these off already. I need to be more careful. But yeah, so you've got your your loops and your hot cues separately, and your effects separately, and your sample separate. Versus now they cram that all into the pads. But I have a pad bank, for lack of a better way of putting it. Like I bought a I think it is a Novation Launchpad, but like an OG, like a original. And here's what I want to try to program. I know stock, somebody has already actually made a pad mode thing where I can basically turn this into like a sample bank or into a bunch of other stuff. But then can I make one of the pages on here into the controller for my lighting? Because one of the reasons I am going virtual DJ is that it is compatible with SoundSwitch. And SoundSwitch does let you MIDI map. Now, they have native mapping for like 3 controllers. It's really annoying. I think I'm going to do some griping about SoundSwitch in a different video, as much as I love it. Maybe that'll be next week. I'll do a video on SoundSwitch and why I recommend it and why I don't. But SoundSwitch only has like 2 third-party MIDI controllers mapped because they want to sell their MIDI controller. I kind of get it. But yeah, it's just a little bit annoying that I'm sure people have mapped them out, but they're not. Like one of the things that Virtual DJ does is they allow for on their forums, somebody who has a Novation Launchpad can make their own MIDI map and put it out there for the world to use. And I think what I've seen it on the forums, I think it actually exists in the template kind of search stuff, similar to the templates, which we'll get to those in a bit here. But yeah, library management is supposed to be better than a lot of the other companies. I do like, and it's funny, Hercules has been doing this for years, but a bunch of people gave him crap for it, where it recommends other tracks and things, and like they try to do more of like a by energy sort of thing in Dejuiced. And a bunch of reviewers were like, well, I don't really want my software recommending stuff, blah blah blah. Almost every software does it now. I don't know if Virtual DJ did it first or if what was it? Dejuiced was doing it. But I just find it funny that like every software now has it. I do really love Engine, as much as I'm kind of giving them a bit of grief and moving more back to more of a laptop based setup. They're sort by stuff of like auto like filters you can have set up for the next song suggestion. It's not as like smart or AI'd as some of this stuff, but it is really handy where you can just, I want to see everything within 5 BPM that's in this folder. Very handy to have. So I'm glad that they added that. But yeah, some of this management stuff, I've heard nothing but good things about Virtual DJ. And like the smart folders and lists and stuff, um, they've just in the last year, I think, added this to Engine, and it was a revelation. I've never used them before because I didn't have them quite figured out how to do them, or I didn't figure out quite how to do them in Serato when I was using Serato more heavily. And then I started using Engine, and I just didn't know what I was missing. And now you've got all of these options for filtering and smart lists and stuff like that. Like it just, yeah, compatible key and BPM and stuff. Um, yeah, like the management is. I've just heard nothing but good things. Um, Track history stuff, I don't really care too much. Cloud lists is interesting. Access online charts and themed playlists, or share yours with the world with Cloud lists. You can share your favorite playlist with other DJs or keep. So this could be uh an access to top played song feeds by DJs and popular charts from music services. iTunes top chart. Like Beatport top chart is cool, especially if you're a club guy, but top plays in iTunes and stuff just integrated in is actually really nice because I mean, how many wedding DJs out there? You know, first wedding of the year, you go, okay, what's the top 100 on Spotify? What do I need to add to my list and stuff? This can really knock some of that out. This new cloud stuff is intriguing. I don't have enough space. I'm not a music hoarder like some are, although I do have quite a lot of music comparatively. I don't have enough space on my Google Drive to fit my music library. So I'd only be able to do a small portion of it. But this is for somebody who, if somebody uses, say, iCloud, this is probably awesome. OneDrive is cancer. Don't use it. Like I will never ever use OneDrive again. Ever since they automatically started backing up a bunch of my stuff and then stopped me from getting emails because they told me I was out of room. And I was like, I never use OneDrive. Why does it say my OneDrive's full? And it just automatically was backing up everything on my computer. No. Now, it might be a good system, but that remember I was talking about how you don't earn my loyalty, you earn my trust. That broke it, and everything I'm hearing about Windows as of late is making me even trust them less. So maybe I will go Linux down the road. I don't trust Apple as far as I can throw them either, but Windows is starting to really what's the opposite of get my goat? Suck. Anyway, the auto mix thing is like the super controversial thing about it. I'm gonna use the crap out of this for cocktail hour. I'm gonna probably make a 3 or 4 song, like in case of emergency, drag me in. Of I need to fix something. My lights are acting up, right? I know the washroom thing is what everybody uses as the example, and I think that's important. But I mean, generally speaking, you can throw on a song that's like 5 minutes, throw on the Cupid Shuffle or something like that, and just walk away. And you can use the washroom and come back and just have and be ready. But yeah, doing an auto mix, having a folder that is like in case of emergency, throw it in there because I've had stuff where like my lighting acts up of someone gets unplugged, a photographer not realizing something. I have oh god, I was at a fundraiser. I was just doing sound for them, and somebody just straight up like went and unplugged something from my my power strip because they needed to charge their phone. Like one of the event organizers, and I'm like, okay, you can't do that. What? You can't just unplug. Like I'm using that stuff. Like this was during setup, so thankfully it wasn't like in the middle of the event. But somebody just walked up and just, well, this doesn't look like it's plugged in anything, and just unplug and plug their stuff into my power strip. So having an auto mix thing is pretty sweet. Most of the other ones I've used have been very, once this song's done, this song starts, and there's just too much silence. So having, because you can just set it up. I used to do this with iTunes, where you just set it up with a auto crossfader, but having the intelligent, like, it can kind of tell how it's supposed to mix and stuff is actually pretty sweet. Yeah, like the smart transitions, I think it is. So I'm gonna experiment with that. I'm not gonna use it while I'm performing or anything. Though, like I said, there are gonna be times. I think you have to be really careful with this. You could use it and then stand behind the board. One, I think you would get. I would get too bored. I actually couldn't lean on this too much. And two, if the client knows that you're basically using like an auto mix thing for like while the dances stuff is going, you really devalue yourself. That's one of the reasons why a lot more DJs are using those like furniture tables where people can really see what you're doing. Because even though I think we over exaggerate how much work we're doing behind the board, because especially as a wedding DJ, 90% of what I'm doing is moving from one song to the other and then looking for the next song I'm going to play. And the better and better I get at knowing what song I'm going to play next, the less I'm doing back there. So it is freeing me up to do more cool things like having stems and stuff versus just effects and stuff to work with. I may end up getting a bit more creative behind the board, but yeah, I would proceed with caution if you're thinking like, oh man, I can just auto mix everything. Like I'm not going to use it that way, but I can see. I know in the past, one of the complaints about like two of the funny complaints, or one funny, one not, about virtual DJ. Their past mantra used to be like, if you put the right tools in the hands of a 5-year-old, they can sound like they're a professional. Like I'm paraphrasing it a bit, but if you actually go and you look it up, it sounds very similar to that. They've moved away from that to be more, whether you're a beginner or a professional, we want you to have all the tools at your disposal. And they've really leaned into that. So if you open up Virtual DJ today, it looks way better. It looks more professional. And then they have a basic to advanced kind of like, because you could always get different skins, right? That was whenever everybody was saying, oh, the program's ugly. Well, download a skin. Well, what if I don't want it? What if I want to open up my program and have it just look good? Now it does. It looks a lot better than it used to. I know it's subject. Like you know, if you don't like the red and blue, well, suck it up or change the color yourself, I guess. But generally, it is a way nicer looking program than it ever was. And I think it was actually Cleveland Terry's review video that pushed it to happen. They switched it from being always like a standard format when you turn it on to like you can select. I think the 3 or 4 options are like I think there's like a beginner or like introductory. There's a professional and there's a performer skin that just comes natively on it that are all more or less information depending on, because the problem with virtual DJ is they do give you every tool, which if you're just starting out is too much. That's what I love about Mix. Like I learned how to use software using Mix. Before I got Serato, I was using Mix, and it really taught me how, like I was just using a mouse and keyboard just figuring out how DJ software works. And that's a really simple program. And it worked really well. So yeah. But that's the auto mix thing. Because the other funny thing is the parent company of Virtual DJ, or like the company that releases the software, because it's Atomic's Virtual DJ. A lot of people thought that they named themselves after Automix, but it was actually Atom, and it's just that name. They're kind of stuck with it because they've been using it for 20 years. So that's the funny one. But yeah, they used to have a really bad mantra. Now they're way better, and now I think they're winning people over, especially because it just looks better. Powerful editors. I don't actually. Well, yeah, because I know you can change whatever. Like you can do the split pad thing. I know a lot of software lets you do that, but it's a lot easier, I think, in Virtual DJ from what I've seen. In that Aaron versus Nick video I mentioned earlier, or like live stream, they go over this of like, yeah, I mean, you can do that in Serato too. Cool. right? I'm glad other software can do it as well, but I actually really like that because similar to what I was talking about with my um, weird $30 because it was $40 Canadian, $30 American DJ controller, is it has all of this stuff integrated on it. I do have other controllers, and if I get one that has say 8 pads, I'm used to 4 pads. Having 8 is fine and dandy, but part of me does think I probably would split them and just have, say, loop in the top and 4 hot cues in the bottom because I very seldom need more than 2 hot cues. I know some EDM guys, especially, you're often using more cue points and stuff for doing cool transitions, blends, like you're making more than one song happen at the same time, like cool stuff like that. I'm not. So 4 and 4 would actually be enough for me. Nope, wrong one. But yeah, being able to split pad it, even on something like this small, right? Have say 2 effects on the bottom ones, and then have 2 cue points on the top, might be all I would actually need. Now that I think about it. I'm just gonna get rid of that screen because I keep clicking over to it by mistake. Broadcast, don't care. Video broadcast, don't care ish. This actually for DJing on or like for doing YouTube videos and stuff, or like if I'm showing off something, this might actually be cool. I'll have to see. I don't care about the broadcast stuff because I don't do internet radio or anything like that. Record your mixes, fine. I mean, you should be in some senses, so you can hear yourself back. But because I do enough stuff with Tidal won't let you record your mixes, at least not in software. There's hardware workarounds, right? You're sending it out hardware cable to a recording interface. There's nothing Tidal can do about it. But it's so that people can't pirate the music. Yeah, sandbox mode. I don't think I would use it much, but it is actually really cool. Online catalogs, don't care. Live suggestions, I'll have to actually see. Like, that's not something I've used. The request thing I think is actually neat. I was paying a company, it was like $10 for a month kind of thing, and it actually worked really well. I don't know if I would use this for. I don't know if I would use this for taking requests at an event anymore. I think over COVID, probably, of like, yeah, you can just use this QR code that I have on your table and you can request a song. But I prefer, I'm going to force people to come up. If you want to make a request, because one of the rules that I have is if you make a request, you have to dance to it. I need to start remembering to announce that. I've had at a few weddings recently, which was really annoying. Somebody requests a song that's not really danceable. So they sit and they hum along or sing along to it in their chair with everyone else. And it's just like, no, if you want this song on, this is the dance party. You have to dance to it. I might move to that again because it does clear things up a lot. But yeah, being able to take, especially if you're at like a club situation or something, or if you're if you've got say a long list from the bride and groom that you've got to work everything in, it's a lot easier to just not play something if it's received through here. There is a way to tip through it, which is I don't do the kind of events that I would do that, but you might, so it might be worth it to you. Comes with a stock scratch pads to use any controller, including standard scratch technique, baby scratch. This is interesting. I don't know if I would use it much, but having it's like a pad scratch, but you can actually program it, which is I think more useful. For me, pad scratch stuff is most useful because you can hear how it is. Like the only time I really do any scratching is if I'm actually using turntables. I just don't really enjoy scratching on a controller. So ironically, I may end up, even though I can do scratching on a, like I'm not the best at it by any means, or even all that great, but having a pad I can hit that does like a baby scratch or something, or does like a like for a transition. Obviously that vocalization wasn't ideal. Sounds more like a, well, funny enough, the Transformer is actually named after the Transformers because it's the sound they make when they transform. So, vocalizing it isn't too bad. But yeah, I don't know if I would use this too much, but having it handy to do something cool without, like, especially if I'm using something like this, I would never scratch on this. So being able to have it like on a bank on here is fine. Especially because if I programmed it ahead of time, it feels less cheaty. And the DMX light control, it is using and like an open protocol. So in theory, it should work with more softwares. Virtual DJ, if you watch this, I'm going to do a follow-up video where I'm going to go over this in a video form of like 5 things I really want Virtual DJ to do next. Control DMX light scenes, fog machines, and more directly with your Virtual DJ, within Virtual DJ using your controller. I need to see how this works. Can this work with Sound Switch? Can I do? Because again, this is. Oh, this would work. I want to have 4 pads. I want to do a split pad where the bottom 4 pads on my DJ controller are always blackout, strobe, up and down for auto loops. Give me those 4 buttons on my pads, and I will use that every day. If this works the way I hope it does, this might turn into a question for, but I'm going to experiment with this. I'm going to mess around with this. I'm going to see if I can get Virtual DJ to control my my sound switch. If it doesn't, okay, guys at Sound Switch, I know you're not a big fan of Serato right now, so lean into the Virtual DJ crowd and make that happen. Talk to them. Get this working. Get it so that we have pad control built into Virtual DJ. Virtual DJ has a ton of users. And if you have it as a selling feature that like, hey, you're integrated with Virtual DJ now where you can use pad control versus like I can program it to do it is a bit different. I'm sorry. I've seen DJs aren't always the most technically savvy. It's just the way it is. So having it be more of a plug and play situation, I think is going to be good. Now the custom interfaces and skins and stuff, I think is a big thing. Some of them are hideous. Some of them are hideous. You can see one right there. Hey, sorry to whoever made that one. But it's trying to look like old school Winamp or something. Gross. And I've seen some, right? This one that's behind where it's like a Pioneer DJ. So the stuff on it looks like it's from Pioneer. No, it's just not user friendly. But some of the skins are designed around making the touchscreen more usable. They change the layout to make it more optimized for I don't have a keyboard or mouse plugged in. That's the true power of it. Everything else is visual, and some of them are horrible. So I don't actually really care too much about the skins for like make it cool and interesting. Don't care. But there are a few, like if you look up Virtual DJ skins on YouTube, you'll actually see some videos of like, okay, here's the best skin you've ever seen. It has these extra features already preloaded on it. It gives you these extra rows for different buttons and stuff rather than just the couple that are in here. It really moves this around. That's where it's at, where it's like actually a better workflow than the traditional one. If, right now, less useful than it used to be because again, they have like those three or four out of the box interface skins that are just great. Configuration. This is you can be a madman with this program if you want. It's actually pretty sweet. Now, the original control, I've heard mixed things on. I am intrigued by it. They are doing a they were doing a test. When was this posted? November 2023. So I don't know where they're at for this. I'm not sure. The new app, like this looks very useful. Oh, and it has has its own skins. But yeah, basically you can turn your tablet into a controller for the software. And especially again, oh, it's dinner time. Doing on auto mix and oh, you know what? I need to fade this song out. This song's not working. This isn't really good. I can like manually do it from across the room. That's sweet. Now it is extra, but this is something that a lot of the other companies just don't have yet. I don't know why. Well, I kind of know why. If you actually look it up, it has really bad reviews because a lot of people have had connection problems with it. The nature of wireless stuff is it's the same thing. Every wireless mic ever has somebody, or every speaker on the market that has Bluetooth. The Bluetooth on this gave me a bunch of trouble. You'll see a whole bunch of reviews that say that, and then a lot of them that don't. And it just all depends on the situation, other signals flying around the room, all that kind of crap. So I've heard that the connection is mediocre on these. But, yeah, I like this idea. I am curious, again, though, if this is the updated version or... Yeah, 3.2. Good to know I got scammed out of $12. Right? Again, some people are having issues, and it's always connectivity issues. When it's connected, it works fine, but disconnects all the time, right? You're just going to see this all over the place, and that's anything wireless. Yeah, that actually is one of the things that has intrigued me. I don't... What? Oh, no interest. Okay. And yeah, so that's kind of the end of the list. But like I said, there's a bunch of this stuff. It's one of those things, a lot of other companies do the same stuff, but it does a lot of, like, it kind of does all of it. The stability for me is a big one. Usability is quite nice. And yeah, I've been putting off picking up any DJ software since I got my my current controller because it has it in it, but I'm just not too happy with the software itself. It's the engine OS is just okay. So yeah, I've got a gig in 5 days. I think I'm gonna try virtual DJ at it, because like I said, I've been messing around with it on here. I wonder. I did look this up at one point. So this, if you get any, they've got all of their compatible stuff in here, right? So these are all different brands and then just available manuals. So this manual section is also where you look up not only how to connect it, so if there is extra steps, because some older machines and stuff will need it. But if I go in here, these like are all of the Newmark stuff that it works with out of the box. And if it isn't on here, then it probably doesn't work. But we've got the, where is it? Mixstream Pro. And this should work the same for any of the Mixstream versions. So setup, will tell you how to connect everything. Like I said, I've only done this on the LE, and it was awful. So I'm looking forward to, although not with this one. I've tried it with my other controller, because my other controller hardware unlocks LE, and it's the worst. Sorry, Virtual DJ, you got to get rid of LE. It hurts your brand. Layout. So this then has, here's all of your mixer stuff and what they do. The display. So source, press this button. Settings, press this button. Adjust. Okay. Touchscreen with display tailored screen skin for Extreme Pro. The skin will automatically download from Virtual DJ when the controller is first connected. So I believe the touchscreen actually is a touchscreen by the sound of that. Advanced setup, built-in speakers and output, microphone recording. I don't know. I might look that up in my own time here, because I'm gonna go have myself some lunch before I head to work. But yeah, like this is why I'm jumping on it. I'm just gonna give it a try. Like I said, with that dirt cheap controller I bought plus Virtual DJ, it works out to less than the cost of buying a entry level DJ controller these days, because like a DJ controller these days is in Canada about $400. So in total with the controller, I'm gonna have about $450 put into it. So yeah, $50 more than an entry level controller that only comes with like Serato DJ Lite or Record Box if you go that route, which is how I would do it if I was, like I said, a beginner. The other thing I love about this, I don't know why more controllers don't have this. We've taken such a downgrade. This is the reason I bought this. One, because it was cheap, and two, XLR outputs, XLR ins for your mics, well, combo jacks, and a whole bunch of ins and outs for running auxes and stuff into the back. You just don't see this much in and out on anything sub $1,000 these days. It just doesn't happen. So for the $40 I paid for it, yeah, I don't have any pad controls. Yeah, it doesn't have as good of a DAC as I would like, because I have the 4, not the 4.1. The 4.1 I hear improved it, but I can live with it for the amount of adjustability, and it's rock solid. It feels like it's a brick of iron, because it's got a steel, full steel chassis on it with big rubber feet. I couldn't believe it for the $40. How well built it is, how many features it has compared to modern controllers that, yeah, they have more software control built onto the faceplate, but hardware control, yeah, I think I expressed this in a previous video. Hercules DJ. I think Hercules DJ, if they watch this, although this is the end of a 2-hour live stream, I really doubt that Hercules DJ is going to watch it. I want a Impulse 600. Here's what I want. I want the effects section from the T7, like this mixer section where we've got paddle effects and then our filter knobs and stuff. I want that combined with, why not look at the white version? I want that combined with the IO and the mic section here of the 500, because this, they have, it's kind of hard to see here, but this whole strip here, we have our mic volume with high and low EQ, and then a dedicated aux with a filter knob for the aux. Give us that, but fix this effect section where it is not as good, right? That's what I want to see. I think that would rule and would rule it all. Now, it will be a little like I do also think they need to on that version step it up a little bit on because I say the I/O, like that's the input side. The output needs to be updated as well because they're using a unbalanced quarter inch, which is a step up from using say RCA's because you just run like guitar cables to your speakers and they should be fine. But give us XLR outs on the back. Put it at a price point in between the 500 and the 7 here. I think it'll sell. Especially, I don't know if you can do a hardware unlock for virtual DJ with it, but if you can do a hardware unlock for like, or just like it comes with a year of DJ Pro set. Ideally would be like virtual DJ or whatever, because again, DJ Pro is probably the top contender for best DJ software right now. It just doesn't work with SoundSwitch, so I'm biased against it. But yeah, come out with a controller, have it come with DJuiced and a free year of DJ Pro or something like that. That's what I would do. Yeah, some of these are Hercules is stepping it up, and as I said, I love this little guy. I think this thing does everything I need. If you don't have a backup right now, go and get this thing. Depending on what software you're using. Again, DJ Lite from Serato is garbage, but if you own Serato, this should be plug and play for that. If you don't, well, sorry. And Dejuiced is better than Serato DJ Lite. I don't think it's as good as Serato DJ Pro, but it is everything you need to get started. And then, yeah, in a pinch, even if you're used to using Serato DJ Pro and you have Dejuiced on your computer and stuff, because something, again, beer gets spilt, water bottle, weird electrical problem, something, who knows? Pull this thing out, plug it in, Dejuiced or whatever software you have, and you're set. Like it can, and it's not a whole lot. Again, though, I do wish that they would get rid of the RGB backlighting, which is cool because the whole like it makes it easier to learn to mix. It actually does. If you're running Dejuiced, the undercarriage flashes to the music and stuff. It's actually pretty sweet. But I'd like to see that in the pads. But it's awesome because, yeah, again, it has a master out and then it has a headphone out, and you can adjust that in the software as to where it gets routed. All right, I've been on here too long. I usually don't stream this long, but I felt like it today. So I'm going to get going. I'm going to go have some food. But that's my rambling about streaming software and about DJ software. I am going to do some non-DJ related stuff soon. It's just been on my mind a lot lately because I'm getting more work doing that than as a live sound tech. So that's where I'm at. It's just the nature of the town I live in. More DJ events than there are live bands. I'm trying to change that, but yeah, it's tricky. But I will, your guys over there. I will see you next time. Like I said, check out my other videos. I've got one on Mixcraft. I might do, maybe that's what I'll do next week, is I'm going to talk about SoundSwitch and then maybe just play around in my DAW, make a song live, show people how it kind of works. I'm pretty half-assed with it, but it does work. Yeah. But I